Hello, my name is Jarek Wilkiewicz. Welcome to YouTube Developers Live. We have an exciting Halloween episode for you today. In the studio, I have Auli with me. How are you doing, Auli? Okay. We have Greg Schechter.
It's good to be here as a Civil War Union general today.
Thank you, Greg. On the Hangout, we have David joining us from Vancouver. How are things in Vancouver, David?
Very rainy.
Okay, and then in addition to Auli, we actually have one more person, Mark Holder from Hootsuite. Mark, you can be official now.
Official.
All right, how are you doing, Mark?
Doing very well. Thanks for having me.
Great, thank you for coming down from Vancouver, right?
Yeah.
Cool. How long are you staying in the Valley?
I'm going home tonight. So
all right.
Yeah, I've came down yesterday. Was in SF over the weekend and early this week. So
cool.
Yeah, been a great trip. Sunshine as opposed to rain.
Enjoying the summer.
David's experiencing. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So we'll talk about Hootsuite and social media management space. So for those of you that are not familiar with the space, I was thinking that perhaps we could start with a little bit of an introduction to what problem you're trying to solve, what a company does, and then talk a little bit about your functionality as it relates to managing YouTube. And then I know Greg wanted to talk to David about some of the technical challenges with integration between the Hootsuite product and YouTube API. How's that?
Sure.
Does it sound
sounds
okay to
great.
you?
Yeah, sounds great.
Cool. So let's get started.
Sure. So for those that aren't aware of Hootsuite, Hootsuite is a social media management system, largely focused to companies and brands to help them monitor and engage with their communities, build campaigns around their social media activities. Very much heavily focused on team collaboration. As I mentioned, it is for kind of brands and large companies, and so it really is based around team collaboration and enabling teams to execute on marketing campaigns and their social media activities. The company was founded back in 2008 and launched back then. I joined the team approximately 2 years ago, just towards the tail end of 2010. At that time, we were 20 to 30 employees or so. And now we're upwards of 200, probably up around 230, 240. So we've experienced a lot of growth. As far as, kind of from a user base standpoint, we're really close to crossing 5 million users. We've seen some really rapid growth over the last couple of years, especially. We passed 1 million just about, I think, a month after I joined the team. So, we've really experienced some pretty quick and rapid growth since joining. And essentially it is the leading social media management system and platform for enterprises out there in existence today. We're very much focused on, as I mentioned, team collaboration, but also engagement. Engagement is foundational to what we do, allowing folks to publish to multiple social networks and social profiles, scheduling, geo-targeting, and in addition to that, monitoring as well. So the ability to monitor all of the social profiles and channels that you're involved with. Mm-hmm. We currently have 80% of the Fortune 100 companies essentially kind of using Hootsuite. And so we've had a lot of traction there in that space, in the enterprise space. In addition to our free and pro offering. Our free users, we have a ton of those, and we listen to them very closely. We also have our pro user base, which is primarily SMBs, agencies, consultants, and that sort of thing. And then obviously enterprises targeted to large enterprises.
So how does Auli fit into that?
Auli is our mascot. So we've had, I don't know if I'm bringing him back in here. Auli is our mascot. He originally was, the company name is Hootsuite. So what do owls do? They hoot, So naturally an owl became our mascot. And here's Auli here.
Is there some sort of a Vancouver connection or a Canadian connection?
Not that I'm so much aware of. I mean, obviously there's lots of owls up there. You see them from time to time. I don't know the full background story on why owls and why Hootsuite, or Hoot. But yeah, I mean, he makes a lot of trips with us down to South by Southwest, events such as this, and all over the place. So
now, one question that I always have about these types of applications is, from a user standpoint, like how do you manage all the different platforms, since they're actually the very different art forms? You have Twitter with the short message versus G+ where you can have a extensive post. Like, what is it that you do to kind of make it a little simpler?
Yes, I mean, on the back end in our development team, essentially, we'll build in the infrastructure and support to the core product for each of those social networks. So whether you're publishing a tweet to Twitter, whether you're posting a post to Google Plus, essentially it's going to allow you to do many of the things that you can do from those applications, specifically those web applications. So with Twitter it's limited to 140 characters. Obviously with G Plus that limit it doesn't exist, so you're able to compose and do longer messages as well as upload images and that sort of thing. From a monitoring standpoint, so Hootsuite is a very much stream-based, and we'll kind of get to that in a little bit here. Very much a stream-based product, and so much of what you see in the streams is essentially stream-based and looks kind of very similar. But you will see some differences from network to network.
Do you find that people retarget posts to multiple social media networks, or do they create separate posts to take advantage of the capabilities of the individual different products? Like what level of, I totally get the analytics part where you can do things across different platforms, but as far as the creation of the content, obviously video will be very different than a tweet.
Yes.
So like to what extent can people actually simplify their management experience?
I think it really depends on what they're targeting. What audience or what community that they're targeting. A lot of times if you're really just posting to your community on Twitter, those messages are going to go directly out to Twitter. If you're really looking at developing Facebook campaigns or campaigns around Google Plus, obviously you're going to post directly to those specific monitors, or those networks. So it really kind of depends on what the campaigns and the nature of those campaigns.
I see.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So kind of continuing. So we have had a lot of success, as I've mentioned. We're close to 5 million users. We've had 1.5 million messages are being sent out daily, and that's over our web dashboard. In addition to our mobile products, we've had more than 1 billion messages sent to date. So obviously our APIs are functioning a lot of our mobile products in the Dash, and so there's a ton of activity and traction and messaging going out through those channels, all those social profiles that we support. You can see a list of them here on this slide to the right. Kind of most of the major guys we're partnered with, as well as our app directory, which I'll get to, which basically enables us to create a lot of these partnerships and integrations beyond the ones that we kind of support natively. We're also very much focused on localization and supporting the different markets and regions and languages out there. So we're very much focused on being localized in multiple languages. And I think our community team, led by Dave Olson, he's very much focused on this, and it's a big kind of key priority for him is to really focus on translating the Dash into multiple languages.
Do you support any of kind of the regional social media networks in the different geos, or is the set pretty much represented here on this deck?
We do. No, there's many. We have to date 35 app integrations into our app directory, and then we have probably 10 to 15 other integrations that are kind of across our native integrations, our analytics products, and so forth. Regarding internationally, we have an app integration with Orkut, so it's the popular Brazilian social network. We also have Viadeo, Zing from Germany, Viadeo's from France. We actually just released a Sina Weibo app, and I know I'm pronouncing the Weibo word wrong, but that's a Chinese-speaking social network. So we've integrated with them recently.
Cool. So how did you get into social media management? I know that you were originally from Southern California, right?
Yes. So I am from Southern California. I've always been very much focused and interested in social media ever since it came into existence. Very interested in kind of tech in general and gadgets and that sort of thing. So I moved up to Vancouver about 5 years ago from Southern California. Met Ryan through Ryan Holmes, our CEO, through a mutual friend, and this was back a couple years ago when things were really starting to ramp up for Hootsuite. And he had this vision and this idea of an app directory and becoming more and more a platform, essentially a social media management system. And so at that time, that was about a year before we actually launched our app directory, which YouTube was one of our launch partners and launch integrations. So much of my time was really spent kind of reaching out to developers, potential partners, and just really creating interest in the developer communities and ecosystem, and getting people interested in working with Hootsuite. We had an SDK at that time, which we do now, and we've added a lot of new, really cool things that you can do with the SDK since that date. It's been 2 years, but we added a lot of cool things based on feedback we received from developers and partners and our users as well.
So this is a good segue about kind of the product architecture. So you mentioned that you have an SDK. So the actual individual integrations can be done by third-party developers, or are they all done in-house? Like, how does the split work?
That's right. So we originally developed the whole kind of app directory idea and framework and SDK to make it easy, relatively easy and straightforward for third-party developers and partners to build into the Hootsuite system. To actually build, kind of custom integrations that can be, integrated into Hootsuite as streams and available and provide additional value to our user base. Our internal dev team is very much focused on, kind of the core product and some of the other integrations that we have. And so, they can't build out 35, kind of individual integrations and have those available to our user base. So that's what the idea was behind the app directory, behind the SDK that supports the app directory, is to really get access to those developers to have them create some really exciting and unique applications that can be added to the Dash.
So was that something that you guys thought about from the start, or was it the extensibility was added later on in the life cycle of the product?
So I think probably a bit later. For me, having joined 2 years ago, that was really the first thing that I was focused on in working at Hootsuite. So it was new to me, but certainly Ryan, I'm sure, had that vision that this is the direction he wanted to go, is to build and integrate and get a lot of really cool tools available for Hootsuite users on all of our plans, free, pro, and enterprise. They're readily available to everybody. But really to become more of a platform and to kind of bring in developers and partners and have them building some cool, unique things.
So on the integration front, if someone is using your product, they can basically use your web-based interface, which is something that hopefully we're going to see in a little bit.
Yes.
And then from a user standpoint, are there any APIs to, say, pull some of the analytics information as well, or is it all done through your front end?
So it's all pretty much done through the front end. We have our SDK, just to kind of clarify things here, our SDK is all about integrations into Hootsuite.com, into the Hootsuite Dashboard. And it's entirely about that. Our API program, which we do have our engagement API that's out there and available, and you can apply for access to that. That's all about outbound integrations to third-party applications and extending a lot of the core kind of Hootsuite engagement functionality to those third-party applications. Right now, those are the only APIs essentially that we have out there in the wild, and I'll provide you a link that you can go and look into that documentation here in a little bit. But yeah, that's kind of the difference between our API program and SDKs. And so right now, it's our engagement API that currently exists.
Cool. So should we take a look at the product? Or is there anything else that you wanted to cover before we get into the demo?
Let's jump into it.
All right, let's do it.
How does that sound?
Yeah, let's look at the
cool.
Look at the
So just before we get there, some developer resources here. We have our dev site, and I encourage you all to go and take a look at that at hootsuite.com/developers. Also, documentation for our SDK is basically at hootsuite.com/developers/app-directory. And you can go there and learn more about our SDK and the different kind of functions and events that we provide, and access to basically tap into some of the core Hootsuite functionality. I also encourage you to take a look at a lot of the app integrations that we have, and obviously the YouTube integration, which I'll show you here in a second. But there's some really great stuff there, and you can get some great ideas and for what's possible. And then for our engagement API, it's hootsuite.com/API/engagement, and you can learn a little bit more about that there. With the actual YouTube integration, obviously, as I mentioned, it's available in our app directory. You can learn more about that at hootsuite.com/app-directory. And so some of the key features, in working with the developer David on this, it was a lot of fun. We spent several months and weeks just kind of thinking through what we wanted to do, and what would be some of the key features. We got a lot of feedback from our users. We had a ton of requests from our user base on exactly what a YouTube integration would look like. And so what we thought would be valuable was the ability, obviously, to search for and view videos in the Dash. Everybody's looking to monitor, maybe videos that are being made about their brand or their company, or maybe they're just interested in owls and they want to look at owls. Cool videos of owls. So we definitely wanted to give users the ability to search for and view videos in the Dash.
Not cat videos? You think owls?
Cat videos for sure. For sure, cat
owls
videos.
are the new cats?
We like owls, but we like cats too.
I think Greg is going to disagree with that.
I just really like cat videos. It's just so much fun.
Cat videos are amazing. Cat videos are amazing. But there's some really cute owl videos out there too.
All right.
So, Maybe we'll take a look at those later. So the other thing that a lot of our users wanted to do, and especially a lot of our kind of brands and companies that are managing their YouTube profiles in the dash, is to view and add video comments. There's obviously videos that they're publishing to their channels. They want to be able to see what people are saying about those comments, so they can view those comments. They can address those comments directly from a YouTube stream within the Hootsuite Dash. Third is the ability to view video and user details. And that's basically just getting insight into the number of views, number of comments, number of favorites, and so forth for both videos and YouTube users. In addition, you can upload videos, and this is a really cool feature. Obviously, it's not at the extent that you can at youtube.com, but it's really about adding a title, adding a description, adding whether it's public or private, and obviously uploading the file. So that's another cool feature that we added. And in a social engagement dashboard management system, you certainly want the ability to share stuff out to your social networks to further amplify the videos that you're creating for your communities and for your brand.
So the use case here is you upload a video. This is already integrated with the API, so you don't actually have to go to youtube.com. You send it over through Hootsuite. You guys push it out to YouTube and then to all the social channels. So theoretically, like 34 or whatever number that you have
200,
included,
300,
right? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Great.
Yeah, so and I'll show you how that works here, but obviously, it needs to make sense from a social engagement, kind of standpoint, and I think that's really one of the key pieces to this integration. So I'm going to go ahead and hop over to the dashboard, and I'm going to wake Ali up there. There's our mascot right there in the dash. So I'm going to wake him up, and here you have, Hootsuite. This is the Hootsuite dashboard at hootsuite.com. You have a number of tabs and streams that you can essentially manage, a lot of your activities. And once you get the app installed, which is available in our app directory here, that you see on the left side of the dash here, you can see here it's right there up at the top. And once you've installed it and added the streams, this is what you're going to see in your dash. So obviously you're going to authenticate. You have your My Video stream, a search stream, and your My Subscription stream. So once you go ahead and go through the workflow of actually connecting here.
So the flow is you install the app into the dashboard, and then you authorize your channel.
That's exactly right. Yeah, your account. And so, here's some videos that I've created. These are essentially kind of test videos, but you can see these are videos that I've uploaded to Hootsuite.com, or sorry, to YouTube.com. I'm going to go ahead and authenticate with the search stream, and I will do the same with my subscriptions. I'm going to let that stream just load real quick. Sorry, So I've authenticated. Let me refresh. And for some reason, that guy is not being friendly. And so what you have here is, again, you have my videos, you have my subscriptions, and search is being funny with me right now. But she should come back here in a second. And so essentially, in terms of your videos, this is where you're able to see, videos that you have in the dash. If I wanted to go ahead and play this video, I can simply and easily click the video and play it from within the dash. So that video is private, and it's my video, so that's not going to play. And really, this comes into play when you have the search stream. And let me just do a real refresh here to get this guy going. There we go. So this search stream here by default is bringing in essentially the videos with the most views. And so you can see that if I wanted to watch this, I think it's pronounced Gangnam. Is that how you pronounce it? I can play that directly from within the dash.
I'm not Korean, but I've heard that pronunciation before. Greg, any opinions on that one?
That sounded good enough to me.
All right.
So you can see this video here playing directly within the dash. You can obviously, as I mentioned, view some comments here. So if I click this, it's going to pop down the comments. Now these are paginated. As you saw there was, I think, 2 million plus comments. So, obviously that's a lot of comments to scroll through, but you can look at the comments for your videos. You can add comments here.
So typically what's the use case here? Are you looking at your own content, or are you looking at competition's content? Like, why do you care how many comments are there on side video if you were small business or something? Yeah,
so you have the ability to search, and I'll show you that in just in a quick second, but I just wanted to kind of walk through some of these key features just here with this video here. So as I mentioned, you can view, bio information here. So that's, the number of channel views, the number of upload views, number of subscribers, and so forth. In addition to viewing the actual video info. So you can get,
so
some
this is all
insights into there.
basically obtained through the YouTube API.
That's right. All this data is coming through the YouTube API and being presented here within the Hootsuite Dash. Another thing that, as I mentioned, you can share, videos out to social networks. So if you simply click this link here, that's going to give you auto-populate your main compose box in Hootsuite, shrink an Ally link that's going to go directly to that particular YouTube video, and I'll just quickly show you that.
So we have another Ally.
Another Ally.
URL
There's lots of Allies, and you can see the video here in the dash. Sorry, and back to the dash. And then you have the ability to publish out to all the social networks that you have in your Hootsuite account. So simply and easily, a few simple clicks, further amplify those videos. So let's click out of that. So if I'm Hootsuite, obviously I would have my videos here listed, but let's just search for username. And let's bring in a stream of videos for Hootsuite. So this, these are the videos that I've uploaded. If I was interested in, a competitor of ours, I could obviously enter in a, competitive keyword and kind of monitor the comments and that sort of thing there. So here, if I'm Hootsuite and I uploaded this video, I can go in here and I can look at the comments, see what people are saying. So cute, thanks for loving Android, so cute, so true. Maybe there's going to be some people in here that have some negative comments, and I can go in and address those comments directly from the dash. So that's.
Do you do any kind of sentiment analysis on these comments, or is it right now up to the user to actually decide whether which ones are positive, which ones are negative?
It's up to the user right now. Yeah, I mean, we'd love to kind of tap into some more of those analytics options, and look at some sentiment there and really determining what's being said across these, especially as you have more and more videos that have, more and more comments, So right now, you see you have 21, 3, 41, but if you're a brand that's publishing videos that has, 100, 200, 1,000, 10,000 comments, obviously you're going to want to get some analysis done on those comments so you can dive in. So you can favorite videos as well, right from the dash, and share. And then you have a My Subscription stream. And that's really, that's kind of more maybe, some of our more consumer users are using that, where they're, looking at their various subscriptions and the videos that are coming through for their subscriptions. So all the channels that they're subscribed to, videos are going to come through from there.
Could be good for sharing also, because they could discover a new video that came through their subscription and then share it through social media, right? Yeah. It's more of a curation type of use case. Yeah,
most definitely. The search capabilities, and this is great, the stuff that YouTube provides via the API. Obviously you can search by keyword, location, and username, but category. So obviously we support category. You can search across different categories, whether they were added today, this week, this month, or anytime. You can sort by relevance, publish date, number of views, rating, and language. As I mentioned, we're very much focused on supporting different languages throughout the world and localization, and obviously you guys have supported probably all of them. But you're able to kind of tap in and search by language as well, and you can see that there's a long list of languages supported here.
Yeah, I don't think we have them all, but the list is growing pretty fast.
The list is growing, yeah. So I mean, it's a great feature for people around the world. And then the ability to upload, as I mentioned, you can add a title, you can add a description, you can add tags, select which category is appropriate for that video, and then set whether it's public or private, and obviously select the file to upload that video, and that will be added to your YouTube account, and you can kind of manage it within Hootsuite and share them out to your social networks also in Hootsuite.
Cool. So yeah, this is really nice.
Yeah.
So I know Greg wanted to chat a little bit more about the technical aspects of the integration, and I know David is still on the line. Yes, here's David. So Greg, do you have any questions about how they did it?
Yeah. So I mean, I tried the app out myself, and I was really impressed. It worked really smooth, and it was all very quick, and a lot of features. I'm sort of wondering how do you went about building it, and sort of what languages did you use and stuff?
We used PHP. We used the client library that's in the Zen framework. PHP, we just use it because it's easy, and if I need to get somebody to fix something, you can always find a PHP programmer somewhere. It's just on a typical LAMP type setup, MySQL with Apache. and PHP. It's like a million other websites, I think.
Oh, great.
It's an app, but it's like a little mini website, really.
Mm-hmm. And now, which APIs did you end up using? I can recognize some of them, but I don't know if there were more than what I just saw.
Oh, there's the main ones, the YouTube one and the Hootsuite one, and then we're using Google Maps as well.
Great. Yeah. So as far as the YouTube ones go, I mean, assume you're using the data APIs. Now, are those version 2?
Version 2, yes.
Okay.
Yes. We started this a long time ago.
Oh, right. Did you have any challenges when you were doing this integration, either with YouTube or with Hootsuite, or?
I think the biggest challenge for me was that the rate in which the YouTube website changed is faster than the API changes. So I think the big one was, it used to be videos on YouTube were like, you could rate them with stars, and then that got switched to like, not like, but there was no API point to do that. It's like there was no way to do it. So it's like there's a feature in the website that people are wanting, but then I can't reproduce it in the app. There's lots of little things. I mean, that's even more now that you're like the YouTube website's been revamped again. There's so many new things in there that I can't support unless I go to version 3 of the API. So that, to me, that's the biggest challenge, is trying to. Users want certain things that I can't do because the API doesn't support them yet.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that's a common challenge, and we try our best to make our APIs as rich as we can, but it's just a lot of work, a lot for us to accomplish there. But overall, when you were doing this integration, using stuff, did you have like a good sort of experience? Like, were the parts that you could actually get from the API, were they easy to use, easy to understand?
Especially when you're using like the Zen framework, once you install it, I think anybody could use the API. Not maybe not anybody, but if you gave them a little bit of instruction, it was so easy.
Oh, great. Since we've done the YouTube app. The YouTube app was one of the first apps we did for Hootsuite. We've done a whole bunch of other ones. We've done Flickr, Storify, stuff, a whole bunch of things. And you keep coming back to the fact that the YouTube one was definitely the richest of all of the APIs we've used. Oh, that's always great to hear.
Yeah, pretty much everything was there that you needed. Yeah, it's like I said, there's that lag in between when the website is updated and the API is updated.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only major issue. But everybody has the exact same issue. But then some other people, their APIs are kind of, I don't know, flaky a bit. Whereas like the YouTube one, I know I can wake up in the morning and it's going to be working. It's not going to be down or something like that. And it's I think some people, some other companies, they don't put a priority on the API very much. So it's kind of the orphan or whatever. Doesn't get enough attention.
Cool. So what's next for the app? I mean, are you going to keep working on it? Maybe try the new APIs in the future?
Yeah, I think what's next is definitely, we want to do like a 2.0 of the app, and we're going to use the version 3 API, because when you look through what the YouTube website looks like now and what our app looks like, there's a bit of a disconnect in there. The app looks, version 2 API, but the website, the YouTube website, it looks version 3 API. So my challenge now is, the version 3 is experimental.
Right. So
it's do I start using it now and start coding around the version 2 API, or do I wait a little bit? So I think that's my big question to you guys. When does version 3 go from experimental to something that I can really use in production?
All right. Well, so we just launched it very recently, so it'll take a while for it to move out of experimental. But it's a great opportunity for you to give us feedback on new things that we can add to it before we take it out of there. Are there any things that you have in mind that you would like to see in the API in the future?
As much analytics as you can put in. It's nice to have views and number of people who've liked and disliked and stuff like that. It's like when you go into the analytics on the current YouTube website, there's just there's geographic stuff, there's there's just so much information in there that I don't think I have access to. Maybe I do. I'm not quite sure, but
yeah. In fact, we will have our analytics engineers on this show. We're trying to schedule a time slot with them, but it'll happen in the next few weeks, and we'll be talking about the new analytics API that we have also released. It is built on the same infrastructure as the YouTube API v3, so they work well together. But in v2, analytics was confined to the inside API, which was a small subset of the YouTube API v2. Whereas in v3, analytics is kind of first-class citizen with its own set of APIs and its own set of metrics. So definitely, you're right that on the website, if you go to youtube.com, there's still metrics that you can see there, but they are not exposed to the API. But this is something that we'll discuss. The team is actively working on including more and more of these metrics into the analytics API. Another thing that is nice about that one is it's somewhat modeled upon the the Google Analytics API. So if you work with the analytics APIs, you'll kind of find it very familiar. So it's more of a data cube model, and you can issue various queries against it. So it's quite powerful. So definitely, we will cover that in more detail in the next few weeks. So David, I hope that you'll be watching.
I'm definitely going to watch that one, because everybody wants to analyze things.
Yeah, cool.
That's all the questions I had. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, John?
No, I think you guys covered it. So I was hoping maybe before we wrap up for today, we could look through our moderator queues, see if there's anything in there that we should address.
Let me see if there's anything for our guests. So the first question I see is they're asking if you guys will be adding any new features to the YouTube app for Hootsuite anytime soon. I know you just addressed that a little bit. I wasn't sure if there was anything else you wanted to comment on.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of working through it. As David mentioned, he's working through, and we'll be looking at the V3 API, and really determining exactly what we want to add and what additional functionality we want to add for the V2 of the app integration. We listen very closely to our user feedback across the board, across all of our channels. So we take that feedback very seriously, and want to kind of iterate and create a V2 based on that feedback, and really give the value that our users are looking for in the V2. So, we put out the V1 about a year ago, and we really want to give something that's a lot more than what you have now, and fuller and richer and deeper. So,
cool. Let's see, what else do we have?
There's one about the implementation of the actual app, whether it's HTML5 or Flash. So I think this is a question for David.
It's HTML5. It's Ajax, it's JavaScript, it's PHP, it's HTML5. It's about as basic as you can get.
Cool.
Great.
Anything else?
And then, of course, there's the one that I always see. Is YouTube and Google developer relations hiring? The answer is, of course, yes. And you can find job postings on developer.google.com/jobs.
Great. So. All right. So I think this is all the time we have today. Thank you very much for coming.
Of course. Thank you guys for hosting.
Have a safe trip back to Vancouver. And we're excited to see this integration. I think it's very interesting, interesting space. I know it's very hot. And, again, check out API v3, and we will send more information about the analytics API overview that we'll be giving on this show pretty soon. Till then, I'll see you all next week, same time, Wednesday, 10 a.m. Pacific. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.